Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages on the Friday 500, our 500th episode, with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Friday 500, 500 episodes. Thank both of you. Mara, thank you. Kaustubha, thank you. I feel very festive today.
I know.
I stayed up late. And
you did a program last night, right?
I did a program, and just because I was up late, I thought I had the right to eat a bag of corn chips, and I didn't. I didn't have that right, Kaustubha.
No, you paid. You paid the price.
Okay, I'm paying hard this morning. What was I thinking? That's the mantra we don't like to chant on Wisdom of the Sages. The "What was I thinking?" mantra. And I hung out with a bunch of Zoomers at the program yesterday. A bunch of others. Including Alias Jones. You've never heard about him? Alias Jones is real. And he's local. He's a local Zoomer that I didn't even know about. Lives locally. We got to get him, Richard O., for our downtown Chatham Kirtan. Mara is happening. Mara was with Govardhan making matzo ball soup for Ben and Esther's vegan deli.
How so?
Govardhan actually flew out to pick Mara and her, Mara's chef brain. They were working on
serious about this deli. I mean, it's like,
they're serious about
their standard of matzo balls is very high.
Did yours pass the test?
Not yet. I'm gonna try again today.
No kidding. Whoa.
They make latkes.
No, hold on 1 second here. They're talking to the #1 caterer in Columbia County.
Private school chefing. Wow. I met Jamie Stafford was there with her daughter, and now I'm getting a mental block, but Cindy Lunsford was there.
Nice.
Cindy Lunsford was there?
Yeah, was
Cindy Lunsford
From
from
Nashville.
Nashville.
Did she used to live up there or something?
She used to
like
live up there.
that? Right.
It was a whole thing yesterday.
Good for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
And now
I
you're
get
all
back
festive. You look like it's Christmas or something.
It is. It's our version of Christmas.
All right.
All right. Or are you going to unveil the big secret, Kaustubha?
Yeah, we can unveil the big secret. So here's the big secret. And we were saying that we're going to mention something about the next phase of Wisdom of the Sages. And, going back some time now, I remember it was over a year ago. It was over a year ago that we had Dunya on the show the first time. Remember that?
Dunya, yes. Love Dunya.
And then she did a workshop. Dunya, she's like, she's an expert in various types of counseling and so
Couples
on.
counseling, marriage counseling.
Yeah, couples counseling, marriage counseling, like mental health care and that kind of thing. And we saw, that she was so equipped to bring her expertise into a bhakti context as a person that's grown up as a bhakti yogi her entire life. And there was such a great response to it. And at that time, we're thinking we really need to involve her more with our community, But we didn't really know how, and you and I are kind of always like running full speed ahead, and we things are slipping through the cracks and so on. But we eventually started bringing her on for questions and answers days on occasion. We also, early on, we brought on Ganesham Prabhu, right? Ganesham Das, who's like a
Pastor.
hospital chaplain.
Chaplain.
Yeah, hospital chaplain and expert in end of life care, and people really responded to that. So we wanted to bring those things to our community in some kind of more dynamic way. And recently, what I've been doing is assembling a team of professionals. These are full-on bhakti yogis, but professionals in the field of counseling and mental health care, and we got hospital chaplains and other kind of experts. And we started talking about like how we can serve the community, and then the idea began to expand. And as we're talking, we realized that really, even people that like aren't needing some kind of clinical care, but like everybody, like I've done some research now, Raghu, because just the other day we passed our 2 million downloads on the Lisbon. We
Should have
worked
had a
through
party
Lisbon.
for that.
Well,
That should have been a
for
party.
that.
2 million downloads.
Well, but that's not all of the people that are listening. That's the people that are listening on the podcast platforms. So
Okay.
over 500 episodes. Now it'll be the 500th today. There's 200 now. It'll be like 2,015,000 or something, 20,000, something like that. Is where we're at today.
Wow.
And then you have to add to that YouTube, and then you have to add to that people that are
Stitcher.
tuning in on Facebook.
Stitcher.
Well, Stitcher's included in the first
Okay.
one. You just want to say
I just like to
Stitcher.
say Stitcher.
I know.
I've
So-
never
so-
even listened
so
to
you-
it.
Yeah, so you add together everyone that's listening on the podcast platforms, YouTube, and then people that are listening in on live on Zoom, and people that are listening on Facebook. And basically what you have is an average of roughly 6,000 people listening to each episode. So that's like our, right now, currently, that's like our community, you could say, people that are listening. And of those 6,000, like a lot of people, they may be like, yeah, I like to listen. It's entertaining. I get a little something from it, and I'm happy with that. And if that's where you're at, that's great. Cool. But a lot of those people amongst those 6,000 are like, I want to practice bhakti yoga, right?
Yeah.
I want to transform my life through this practice. So if you're one of those people, this announcement is for you. Because
Okay.
what we want to do now is, as I was saying, even if you're fortunate and within your, where you live in your area, there's a community of bhakti yogis. Maybe there's a temple or some kind of center and a group of people that are practicing, even a large group. Like here in New York City, there's so many, right? But if you're fortunate, you might have that. But a lot of people out there probably don't have that. There's people in all parts of the world. And even if you do, and then, this is, in one sense, is a sad thing, but even if you do, even if you live in a place like where there's a center, you may not be able to relate well with those people. They may not be able to relate well with you. And you still may feel alienated or isolated in some way. But it's essential that people have the opportunity to meet with people and get together with people on a regular basis and share their challenges, share their doubts, share their thoughts, share the good things that they're going through, and to have a little bit of mentorship and a little bit of friendship and a little bit of regular sangha like that is important, and just, you just have questions.
You need people. You need people in your life. You need a
You need
community. It's tough to be isolated.
Yeah.
Where are we
And
going with this, Kaustubha?
Well, even things like,
Unveil the prize.
hold on. I want to unveil it right,
Everybody wants to talk. Come on, unveil your prize.
I'm unveiling it. It's not a prize, but just even things like, I don't know how to explain this to my family, or whatever. We need people to get together and meet. So this is what we want to do. We want to create reading groups for everybody that's interested in joining one. And that group, the idea is that, and amongst that team that I'm working with, they all work with groups like this. And they know how to like schedule a meeting well and like, how to have just enough check-in. You can check in, how you doing, share what you need to share, do some reading together, hit some talking points. And what we want to do is for all the different groups, we want them to be reading and discussing the same topics. And we can even share like this week's topic in all the groups, in all the reading groups. You and I could also be hitting on some of those topics during the week on Wisdom of the Sages and tie the whole thing together. And then amongst those, there'll be someone with a bit of experience that we'll choose ourselves. That'll be mentors of the different groups. There can be all different varieties of groups, men's groups, women's groups, couples groups, all, gay groups like, people that are into hardcore. There could be a hardcore group. Like we can find people that share similar interests and that relate easily together. And you can find a group that you would like to join. And but then beyond that, within that group, all of the group leaders may not be experts in all varieties of care, but we're going to have another level. For instance, if you're struggling with depression, if you're struggling with anxiety, if you whatever your issue may be, that there'll be another level of care from these experts, and they're going to be training the group leaders as well as assisting group members, because these are the things that block us so much, they become roadblocks in people continuing their path of bhakti. I remember once we got a letter from someone for one of the question days, and they wrote, I love listening to Wisdom of the Sages. It's changing my life, and I'm chanting and I'm reading and I'm trying to practice bhakti, but still I'm struggling with depression. I know that through this process it's supposed to uncover like my blissful nature, but still I'm depressed. Am I doing it wrong? It was a question like that. Does it work for me? And for that person, it's like they need someone has some expertise to help explain to them what they're going through and help, find them the help that they need. And so, but we feel that this, like if Wisdom of the Sages listeners is level 1 and people that are in reading groups is level 2, then level 3 is providing like this more specialized counseling or specialized care. And that team that we're building, they can provide all kinds of resources, not only like mental health care and things like that, but even things like, say, raising children, right? Like raising children, with some bhakti principles. We can bring people on to do seminars on that. And then that resource will be available to like all the group members, and in so
we
many
can
ways.
mix groups too, like raising gay children in Australia.
We can
Like
get specialized. But but like just like even things like forgiveness. Like right now, Dunya and Jai Jagannath, 2 people who we've had on the show, they're doing a like an online 4-part workshop on radical forgiveness. And that's we can provide these kind of things, and the group leaders, they can draw in the most relevant or urgent topics that those 3rd level specialized counselors should be covering.
Kaustubha, this is going to be epic. I'm already seeing feedback on the board right now. This is what people need, this is what people want. I'm giving Kaustubha all credit for this. I have nothing to do with it. I don't have the bandwidth, the time, or the brains to do any of this stuff. Kaustubha's all behind it. I give him all credit. I garland him.
I don't need credit.
Mara's busy making matzo ball soups over there with Govardhan from Ben and Esther's. She didn't have anything to do with. Well, maybe she does. No, nothing.
No.
Nothing.
Yeah,
He's got a whole little
here
team
does.
working on this. So all glories.
But I want to go a little further. I just want to share a little bit more about it.
There's more to unveil.
There's more to unveil. And that is that, like from the beginning, we've tried to make this super easily accessible. So like the podcast itself is free, and we try to put it out every single day so people have that content. And to join Patreon, people can join Patreon at any level. So it's like also like there's really no financial kind of bar, to have to cross to get in. But what we want to do with this is we want to monetize it, and I'm going to tell you why. In other words, what we want to do is that if you're in a group, what we'd like to ask is people give a weekly donation for the meeting. Like, the details will work out, but like maybe like $5 or $10 per week or something like that. If someone can't do that, we can let them in, no problem. But the reason we want to monetize it is to do this well. We need to hire some people. We need to hire a coordinator on that level 2, like someone to coordinate all the groups and the group leaders, because people are going to be switching groups, and people, it's a lot of work to do. It's a lot of creative work, someone that can really put their heart and their time into it.
It's a great idea. For
And then-
therapists, it's like an insurance for therapy.
Well, then on that level 3, we also need someone eventually that's going to make that their full-time job, developing the resources. And, we want the head of level 2 and level 3, the head of the groups and the head of the counseling. We want them really to work well together, so that, all that the needs of the group are being understood by the counselors, and the counselors are coming back with just the right, resources for the larger groups. And so therefore, we don't want it to be financially burdensome to everyone, but if we can monetize this, then we can really hire people to make this really work. And I'm excited that it can be a way of, because we were thinking, we know a lot of you listen to this show and you're out there on your own, and how long, in that struggle, in this difficult world that we live in, how, it's not just listening to this podcast that's going to get you through. You're going to need support. And so we want to, we want to build a net to provide that support. So let me throw this out there for now. If you're listening to this podcast, we're going to reach out in other ways, but even right now, to give us an idea, if you would like to join one of those groups, and I'm not sure when we're going to get this up, I'm hoping September or October latest, something like that. But if you would like to join one of those reading groups and get that kind of support, just write into Wisdom of the Sages 108 and just write reading group. You could just put that there and share any thoughts or ideas that you have. We'll start to put you on a list, and we'll start to build it up, and we'll look at how many people are interested right off the bat, and get an idea of if we're ready to hire someone and all that. And it'll be helpful if you write in. So that's the big announcement.
There's a way to make a sub list with our mailing list program too. That we have them all on a mailing list.
You are like expert secretarial organizer, Raghunath.
Thank you.
There's a way to make a sub list.
This is a beautiful announcement, a beautiful unveiling on our 500th episode, Kaustubha. Thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, Raghu. Thank everybody.
Let the festivities begin.
Okay. So, where are we going to start? Like, we have people that wrote in. We have people that would like to speak live.
Let's go back and forth and back and forth. What do you think?
Yeah, okay. Well, where do you want? Do you want to be like the
I'll
MC?
read,
You want to head it up?
I'll read Anthony Marchese first.
Oh, okay.
I think
Marchese.
he told us the right way to pronounce it.
Oops. Sorry, Anthony.
Marchese.
All right, here's his story. My story. At some point in March, my wife said to me, I listened to Rich Roll podcast today, and I think you would like it. That episode with Raghunath, it was the episode with Raghunath, so I listened, and I was drawn in immediately to what he was saying and the way he presented it. So I started to listening to Wisdom of the Sages while I related the subject matter that was contained in the 6 pillars. I don't know what to make of the Bhagavatam.
Hold it. You got to read this right. He says, while I related to the subject matter that was contained in the 6 pillars, I didn't know what to make of the Bhagavatam.
The 6 pillars is a good little entryway, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That's something that you talk about. Right?
Yeah. I was raised with RC traditions.
Roman Catholic.
Okay, got it. But wasn't religious. I was spiritual, however, and I believed in reincarnation. It didn't take long for me to feel the connection to the Bhagavatam. Most of my adult life, I have lived with depression due to some real deep-seated family issues as I was growing up. A combination of diagnosed PTSD and loss of family wealth left me with sadness and anger. Mostly everything that I have tried in life to improve my mental health has only helped me to an extent. In the last several years, I have made some really bad choices, and I have suffered immensely due to these choices. The fallout or bad karma due to my, quote, free will that I abused sent me into a serious black hole, which included thoughts and contemplation of one of life's most serious offenses. Basically, the show saved my life. And now, not only did it save me, but I'm thriving as a family man and professionally. As Raghunath said on last Monday's episode, I have lost my material mind and I have bought in. It's a Krishna miracle that I'm here. I feel him. There is no doubt in my mind. The transformation is magical. All the pain, all what I was consumed with is just evaporating before my eyes. It's completely profound. When I'm not working or taking care of my family, I'm seeking Krishna and the truth. Whether it's on Patreon, through Kirtan, Sweet Baby Krishna, I love all of you and this community. I'm so grateful. Hare Krishna. Anthony
Marchese.
That's
Thank
beautiful.
you, Anthony. We met Anthony.
How do we end this? Harry Ball.
One thing I want to mention is that from episode number 1.
Anthony Marchese.
There you go. From episode number 1, we said that when we call this Wisdom of the Sages, it's not that Raghunath and I are the sages. The sages are in the pages of the Bhagavatam.
Yes.
And so, we'll be reading things, and people are really kind and generous in their gratitude and all that, but really, in hearing all the things that we're hearing today, what we really want to focus on is the idea that it's this process, it's a process that's eternal. It's a process that's glorified in the Bhagavatam and in the Bhakti tradition, is that by daily contemplating this wisdom, it changes your life. And that's a beautiful example from Anthony Marchese. So thank you. Great to meet you recently at that picnic.
Yeah. Start unleashing the Zoomers.
All right.
Trying to get out.
We have Luke Carmen wanted to say something.
Luke Carmen.
Good
Welcome
morning,
to the show.
everybody.
How you doing, Luke?
Doing great. Thank you, Kaustubha. Thank you, Raghunath. Thank you, Mara, for everything that you do. So grateful for everybody that I've met through this this morning program. It's changed my life greatly. I did my YTT at Super Soul 3 years ago.
Yoga teacher training.
Yep.
Yeah.
And since then, I've built a relationship with Raghu and so many other people on here that were in the training with me, others, and my heart is like beating out of my chest. I feel like I'm like playing my first show as a teenager again. It's crazy. Thank you for allowing me to speak. The Bhagavatam in my life daily has changed me as a husband, as a father. My daughter's 3, and being able to raise her with these guidelines and spiritual things in her life, I can see is greatly affected her. It's greatly affected my household. The ripple effect that you guys have and we all have is much more powerful than we'll ever know. I speak with people all over the place, friends and through Facebook and everything, and they see the changes in me that have come from the association of all of you great people. And there's just not enough time or an amount of words to say how grateful I am. And I think that this was a big, big thing for people in the last year, like when the world just kind of crumbled in on itself. And then we had that daily message reminding us that this world has been crumbling since its creation, like
It's always crumbling.
and we have something special here that we can get past anything that's thrown at us because we have just this amazing group of people that gather, whether it's through Zoom or others or whoever else. It's just absolutely amazing, and I'll leave it there. Thank you so much. I love you all, and I'm looking
Love
forward
you,
to the
Luke.
next chapter. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
sharing.
much, Luke.
Maybe Mara should read one, and then we'll do another Zoomer. Then I'll read one, and
Okay.
or I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Kaustubha
back
read
and
one.
forth.
Sure.
Yeah.
The next one comes from Laura Denoya. I think she's in Philly. Is that right?
She's near Philly in Pennsylvania.
Okay. He writes in, by hearing the Bhagavatam on a regular basis and being connected to the wisdom of the sages community, my spirit has been lifted out of a very dark place. I made some choices and commitments 8 years ago that left me feeling lost, very alone, and materially destitute. Hearing the Bhagavatam on a regular basis has given me a voice again that was being silenced by fear and anger. The rich stories, the profound lessons, the heartbreaks, and the love revealed in the Bhagavatam have served as an internal compass for me to navigate with dignity out of the darkness of my poor choices and patterns. Many of my challenges are still present, but now I have the strength and the courage to move through them without feeling alone or desperate. With all of my heart, I thank you, Kaustubha Prabhu, Raghunath Prabhu, and Maraji. You bring a smile to my face and within my heart every day. I pray to continue to be connected to you all and serve Krishna with love and an open heart.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you so much, Laura. We met Laura at the picnic the other day too, and I was
sweet.
waiting to meet her because she had shared things in different comments online. Such a wonderful, sweet person, and it was a pleasure and honor to meet you, Laura. Thank you for that nice message.
Thank you, Laura. Who else we got in the Zoom camp?
All right, let's see. I'm trying to unmute Kelly Skinner and
Kelly Skinner from Vermont.
Goddess.
is she here?
Yeah, I'm
Ginger-
here.
Okay, great.
There she is.
Ginger Mermaid.
Ginger Mermaid Goddess.
Appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
I felt like it was Christmas morning. I felt like when I was going to bed last night, it was
I did too.
500 episodes. I think so incredible. So incredible. I'm so grateful to have been welcomed into this community And I met Raghu in India in January 2019. I was on a pilgrimage with Madhu and Katie, and we were on the same flight home, and we happened to be like doing yoga and walking around the plane at the same cadence, same
Like
routine
actually doing yoga
at
asanas
a
on the
toilet.
plane.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, she's doing yoga too.
And we talked for almost 2 hours in the back of the plane. And then Raghu like gave me his number to join so I could learn the Zoom login from Mara. And I've been listening ever since. And that was February 6th, 2019. And I started listening the next day. And I'm mainly a Zoomer, sometimes an other. And that pilgrimage and bhakti and this Sangha has really, truly transformed my life and the way I exist in this material world. And I really found my connection to God, to Krishna, something I've searched for, like, but was kept at an arm's length. Being raised Catholic, it was like, God, no, I won't even really use that word. I'll say spirit. And I've been a yoga teacher since 2013. I worked in corporate wellness, and since then, I left my corporate job. I started my own business. I'm a healer and an energy worker, and have fully embraced that now that I've found Krishna. It's like I'm just a conduit for the spiritual energy. And my best friend also left her body in December. She had a battle with cancer. And this practice was my anchor. Waking up for this was my guiding light. And I shared it with her, gave her a mala from India, taught her the Maha Mantra. And I was there when she left her body and was able to lead kirtan with her family around her, which was amazing.
Oh, wow.
And I've since become an end-of-life doula because I love the process of guiding through her final rite of passage. So I really want to help people learn to live fully while they're here in their body, and how to leave their body gracefully.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm leading kirtans now. I'm trying to bring bhakti to Burlington. I'm working to create this thriving community here. And I'm also aspiring for initiation through Raghunath Swami. I'm just beginning that process. So where to even begin? I'm so incredibly grateful for your devotion to this practice, all the years in your life that you have dedicated to being of service. You are incredible. You are full of loving wisdom. You are kind. You are supportive. You always show up no matter what for all of us, and have created this sacred container through which we all can become who we really are.
That was incredibly sweet, Kelly.
Thank you so much,
And
Kelly.
congratulations with this. What's it called again?
End of life dualism.
End of life
I don't know if dualism is the right word.
Post-life.
Dualism. Yeah.
Thank you.
You so much.
That was wonderful.
I
Thank you.
Oh, Paris stew.
Oh yeah,
We love
okay.
Paris stew.
Paris Stew is a dear friend. Should I read this one?
Yeah, read that one, please.
Okay. So this is from Paris Stew. Paris Stew, I hope I get your last name right. I never even got your last name. It's Marashi. It says like she has Mara in her name. Marashi. Right? Okay, so she says, Dear lovely, sweet Mara Kaustubha and Raghunath, this message is for you. She says, no need to share my name, but we already did that. Or say anything about me, we've done that too. Or share it on the show, where we're doing that right now, unless you feel so inspired. Okay, she said she just wants to share because she loves us all. You wonderful beings are so special to me, and I don't thank you nearly enough. I could write a million thank yous and still fall short. I started listening to the Bhagavatam show with Raghu before it was an official podcast, back when it was a Zoom group and a WhatsApp group, and we made it up to the 4th canto together. Remember, we made it to the 4th canto. Remember, Raghu?
Pretty good.
Yeah. I was an OG Zoomer, but now I'm an other. She writes, when I started to hear Bhagavatam with Raghu, more Bhagavatam started to appear in my life. I started to discover other related content, Sajjanandan Swami's lectures and recordings online, and Vaishesha Guru's lectures on Bhagavatam. These are all great teachers that are online, right? Each teacher brought a similar message, but each with a slightly different flavor of storytelling. But you all brought the message from your hearts with pure bhakti. At the time, I decided I was unqualified to have a physical set of Srimad Bhagavatam in my home. By the mercy of the devotees, I was literally gifted the Bhagavatam in the most ceremonious and magical way on Guru Purnima 2019. So that was just over a year ago.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
such a blessing from three pure devotees who came to install Srimad Bhagavatam in her home. She describes that, how they brought the Bhagavatam and they read it together with, like, it was just a special, very special blessing for her in her life. And so she had that, and her mother was there, and she was daily listening to you and really thriving from it. It's a long letter, so I'm just condensing a little bit. She writes, I immediately donated a few sets of Srimad Bhagavatam because I felt so blessed to receive it. I have since deepened my practice and increased my sadhana to 16 rounds of japa every day for over a year.
Wow.
And my life has a new meaning. I need Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, right? I need to hear, I need to chant, I need to remember. Yeah. And it all began with Shravanam, the daily waking up at 5 a.m. to listen, to change my priorities from my mind dictating to me to follow my senses to the Shastra guiding me. I'm still on the journey, and every day I start my journey with bhakti all over again. Will I be kind to others? Can I practice more compassion? How can I replace my judgments on myself and others with more compassion and heart-expanding kindness? How can I be an instrument of Krishna's grace? Also, thanks for introducing me to Chaitanya Charan. Raghunath just did his interview with Chaitanya Charan. We're looking forward to hearing that. She says, I recently took his class called Journaling to Better Understand Wisdom Texts. In his course, he quoted Srila Prabhupada on why it's important to write our realizations. And then she quotes Prabhupada, realizations means you should write, every one of you. What is your realization? You write your realization, what you have realized about Krishna. That is required. It is not passive. Always you should be active. Whenever you find time, write. Never mind 2 lines, 4 lines, but you write your realization. So she continues, that blew my mind.
Well, because she
Prabhupada's
does that. She would write down
She's a-
every class
yeah.
we'd give. She'd write all these notes and pictures.
mind maps.
Mind maps.
Yeah. She says, this blew my mind. Prabhupada said, what? I see. The purpose of this is to digest, integrate, and apply what we're hearing from the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm studying with great teachers every day and feel so fortunate. Now I'm starting to write my realizations more. This helps me to look in the mirror of my heart and my mind and try to wipe away the gunk and build a fortress of Vedic text around my heart. I'm still struggling with the suffering in my heart and the hearts of others, trying to navigate the material and spiritual while remembering this material life is temporary like a dream or a blink of an eye. But my hope is enlivened when I see teachers like you whose hearts are so generous that you emanate bhakti into any soul with even a tiny bit of desire to remember their transcendental loving relationship with Paramatma, the Lord in the heart, the Lord that is everywhere, and this as the Supreme Brahman, and Krishna, our most intimate, loving friend. Forever grateful, Paris Du.
Her material life is over.
I know, it sounds like it,
It's
right?
over.
She's so well engaged.
All right, we got to
Love
keep this
Paris, too.
going. We're going a little bit over today, people, but we have got a lot of people out there.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we have Lori Pag, one of our old school.
Lori Pag.
You wanted to say something.
You are unmuted, dear.
I'm so blessed to have met you, Raghu. It was back in 2014 in Boston. Went there to learn a handstand.
Yep, the old handstand
Pull
switcheroo.
me right in. The condiment was the asana for sure. And 5 trips to India later.
5 trips, Lori's to 5.
It was like 2 a year. I couldn't stop. I thought I'd be one and done, and it just drew me in. It brought so much spiritual recharging. I did the Eco Village training, and I met Kaustubha in 2018. And I came home and I bought the Bhagavatam, and it sat, and I didn't read it, and I didn't know what to do. And then you guys created the Sangha, and then Wisdom of the Sages, and I started doing daily Zoom to receive the teachings, and it helps me to motivate myself as a full-time yoga teacher to share the teachings, to stay authentic, to check my purpose and my intention on what I'm sharing. So I really, really appreciate the teachings. It was a tremendous help in the passing of my mother this year. it really helped me face impermanence and look at my own path. So, please accept my humble obeisances.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Lori Pag.
You know what I'm hearing, Raghu, in on all these stories?
What?
Is that, so many people in this world, they're getting it. I need a deeper spiritual life. But it's often hard to figure out how to practice it, how to actually make it work, like, how it is not just talk or something that I post on Instagram, but like I start to transform my life. And it's just this daily Bhagavatam is just such an effective way to go about it. And as you can hear, it's changing
That's
people's
the
lives.
trick.
Yeah.
Every day. Bhagavatam. Every day.
Yeah.
The next question, the next letter's from Param Sagal.
This one's far out. I like
Hare
this
Krishna. Mara, Mataji, Mother Mara, we call her.
Mother Mara.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mara comes to me, cooking
Sharing
Vedic
vegan
meatballs.
meatballs.
Let it be. I offer my humble obeisances at your lotus feet, all glories to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I am a doctor in Texas, currently pursuing specialization in pediatric.
Pediatric psychiatry.
Pediatric psychiatry. I thought I was thinking, is pediatric? I was thinking of what's foot doctor called? Podiatry. I was like, podiatry, psychiatry? Pediatric. That's child psychiatry. Okay.
Yeah.
I have been an occasional Zoomer and a daily other.
By the way, that's why we're bringing together a team of experts. So if you come,
I was like, so tell me about your feet.
Tell me about your feet. Well, what's the issue?
Oh, I'm so sorry. What are you going through? Corns. I haven't been an occasional Texas Zoomer and a daily other, and I cannot describe how much of a positive impact this podcast has had on my life. In the field of medicine I practice, I see an incredible amount of suffering, ranging from adult patients with chronic, debilitating psychotic illnesses to treating pediatric patients who were sexually assaulted as a mere child, oftentimes by their own parents or due to parental neglect. I would help these children undergo intensive trauma-focused therapy, and they did improve. But I would always perseverate. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Perseverate on the question. That's a good word. On the question.
Don't know what it means, but it sounds great.
Yeah, I'd perseverate. I'd cut off. I always perseverate on the question that if God exists, then why do others suffer so much? Right? When you're dealing in a business of trauma, why would a loving God do that? Previously, I would come home and my family would suffer because I would tune out and not be emotionally available for my wife and children after seeing all the pain others endure. Being called out by them brought out my ego, and I would use my knowledge and training to analyze how everyone else was the problem and wouldn't take any responsibility for my own actions. At one of the lowest points in my life, feeling burned out and exhausted, I heard a clip of the Bhagavad Gita on Joe Rogan from Raghunath Prabhuji, and I enticed my curiosity.
It enticed.
It enticed my curiosity, and I listened to the entire episode, and I was hooked. We call him Bhakti Joe here. We don't call him Joe Rogan. We call him
So
Bhakti
many
Joe
people-
because that episode made
The
many
rich
people.
roll one too. We get a lot of people writing in from
Amazing.
that too.
After the recent pandemic, suicide attempts and completions by children. I'm sorry. After the recent pandemic, suicide attempts and completions by children has skyrocketed in the hospital. Wisdom of the sages has given me the daily strength to help these children and families try and see the bigger picture in order to overcome their struggles and move forward with their lives. Thank you for reminding me daily that my purpose is to be of service to my family and my patients, and to always keep the main thing the main thing. Harry Bull, your servant, Param Sagal. I want to send that to Joe Rogan.
Yeah, you should. That's a great idea.
Man.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Param. And God bless all these people that are doing this kind of work.
God bless them.
Yeah, it must be so hard to have to deal with that kind of trauma day in, day out. And then you can see, you come home to your family and what do you have left,
You're like, stop complaining. Stop complaining.
Yeah.
You don't know what trauma is.
And it brings me immense satisfaction to hear how Bhagavatam can enter into your life and empower you to do this service even more, and empower you to deal with your own struggle, to help others and to love and serve your family. It's a beautiful letter. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Param. Okay.
All right,
Unleash the Zoomers.
next up we have Sega G from Portugal.
Oh,
Sega from Portugal.
Hey, this is amazing. Today is 2 years to the day that I joined the Sangha.
Going back to Super Soul Sacred Sangha before Wisdom of the Sages.
Yeah.
Wow.
I met Raghu through hardcore. Youth of Today changed my life, and years later I found shelter, and I never even thought about Krishna back then. 1999 we did a tour in Portugal together, and still then it didn't click with me. And 2018 I was kind of lost. I don't know, I needed some sense of purpose, I don't know, I was feeling shallow, and I found out transcendental meditation. 2 weeks in meditating, I just started noticing Raghunath live every morning on Instagram. And
Mara, we got to bring that back. Live Instagram shows.
Yeah.
Because it was really important, because when I saw that, I just sent a DM to Raghunath and we reconnected. And then a couple days later, I was on the WhatsApp group back then and started to watch this. And I can say that for the past 2 years, I think I just missed like 5 shows.
Unbelievable.
Even like from January till now that I'm working in the mornings, I cannot be live, so I just watch the recordings the next day at 5 a.m. so I could be like in sync with you guys. And this totally transformed my life. I was raised atheist. I never believed in God, and my mom was a communist, like no God, no master. And I grew up like that, and I used even to make fun of people that believed in God, and you guys changed my life. You guys changed my beliefs. You guys changed the way I see the world. And I think the biggest lesson that I learned here is that my purpose is to serve someone. And if I keep God my main thing, everyone around me benefits. And the change that I had in my life, serving my family, my friends, everyone around me, people that I work with, I've got this in my mind 100% every day, 24 hours a day. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I'm so grateful to be part of this community. Like I have some close friends here in the community. I'm really, it's not sad. Like I wish I could be closer to you guys, because I'm in Portugal. The community here is really, really small. The Portuguese temple here, it's really, really, really small, and COVID almost killed it. Like they are going through serious difficulties to keep it up. And there's not those much devotees here. So this is the way I connect with the people in the community, and I'm so grateful for your association and for everything you guys teach every day. This is a blessing.
Thank you.
Sega,
So much, Sega.
incredible. I've known this guy for like 35 years. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, only missing 5 shows in all this time is amazing. And I did a little research too, Raghunath. So this is our 500th show in 577 days. So we missed 77 out of in that time. 77 days off, but 500 shows on. Yeah, I mean it's not bad, right?
It's not bad.
Most days.
Incredible. is the Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Okay, let's read
Is Mare
another.
up? Is it
All
Mare?
right. Yeah, we have a letter from Ashley Rodriguez.
Oh, we love
Ashley.
her. Texas Zoomer.
We do. She writes, what has wisdom of the sages meant to me? My dear friend Athena informed me about wisdom of the sages maybe a month before my husband's accident.
Yeah, her husband had a horrible
Motorcycle accident.
that's kept him still in the hospital to this day for maybe 8 months now or something. Very long time.
It's God in so many ways prepared me for this life-changing event, laid the groundwork, put down a red carpet for me to follow, showed me where my focus should be and what I should hold on to. Between aching for my husband at home, taking care of our babies, being pregnant and having a new baby, seeing my husband in excruciating pain, seeing his wounds, being in the waiting room for over 50 surgeries, hearing many doctors say he may not survive, seeing him lose a leg. There have been many times that I literally have felt like I was drowning, but I had one finger holding onto a rope that was pulling me along. This rope is made of many threads, some thicker than others. Wisdom of the sages has been a very thick part of that rope that I'm grasping to. Wisdom of the sages has been playing for about 95% of my almost daily drives to and from the hospital over the past 10 months. And every time I listen, I'm pulled out of the water. It doesn't matter what episode, which discussion, and whether I feel like I relate completely to what's being discussed. I immediately am brought out and can see beyond this moment. I can breathe, the clouds part, and it's nothing but clear sky. Much of the time, I can feel the fragility of my mind and emotions and wouldn't dare allow songs or the radio to take hold. I know that I must listen to wisdom of the sages for my sanity. God has a job for me to do, and in order to complete it and secure my ability, I must listen to wisdom of the sages. Thank you all for being my lifeline, for doing your duty so I can do mine. And I am so sure that so many people feel the same way. And thank you for the opportunity to share my appreciation and gratitude for y'all. Hare Krishna.
Wow.
Ashley.
Hare Krishna.
I mean, God bless Ashley. I mean, you know,
God.
what she's doing, you know, it's so challenging, you know, raising kids, having a new kid.
A new baby alone. If you take everything away and just say, here's a new baby, that's enough to break a person.
Totally. Yeah. And meanwhile, you know, her husband's going through 50 surgeries. Oh, you know, my heart, you know, just, it just weeps for Ashley sometimes. And I'm so proud of her. And it's so impressive that she can take, you know, the wisdom of the Bhagavatam and say, this is what's helping me get through this. This is what's going to help me do my service, and give her the strength. So impressed.
Next up, we had Tina Scheid from Germany who wanted to speak.
Scheid, we love her. She's old school too.
Hey everybody. Thanks for being around, little community and big family that we are in. In the meantime, I started listening 2 years ago, still at the Super Soul Sacred Sangha. And I remember the story, I think it was in the 3rd chapter also, of Kardama Muni and Devahuti, and they had 9 kids within one night. And that was about
happens sometimes.
Yeah, it happens. And that was about like the first like stories I remember from the Bhagavatam. And I thought, well, that's a tough time. And then I just got slightly whole community, lovely people here. And ever since, I think that listening to the Bhagavatam in good times, which I'm in right now, I would say, today I'm okay, but listening to the Bhagavatam in the good times is helping you to prepare going through the stormy times. And with all of you, without even knowing it, I have been going through stormy times too. And it was just so important to get up at, actually, I'm a lazy European, so I can listen at 11 a.m. in the morning.
Texas Zoomers, the lazy Europeans.
Yeah. But I remember when I had some stormy times in January 2020, you guys have been to India. And I got up every morning at 2 a.m. in the morning to just, you know, have this Sangha getting me through those times. And it was just very important to be with you. Even back then when you were in India, I was here at my 2 a.m. in the morning show. So thank all of you for this, helping each other going through the good times and also through the stormy times. And talking about each other, I need to give some shout outs to, like, the last 2 years have been so much tears, so much fun, so much laughter, and so much sharing. And I have to give a big shout out to the time, I think a few of you remember when Sean Murphy read the Bhagavatam, because you guys have been to India, and then the internet was off and nobody was knowing what to do. And then Sean Murphy started to read, I think, 2 verses, which was totally beautiful.
The day Sean Murphy took over the show.
And also I had this perfect, very important incident that I met Bhakta Louis on a Zoom meeting. I was supposed to do a yoga class, but nobody showed up. And Bhakta Louis and I, we just had a really nice, like 75-minute talk. For me, it was like coaching and therapy in one. So thank you, Bhakta. And yeah, thanks to the whole community. There's some Nepal people here. We've been in Nepal together. Thanks to Nicole CH. She was the very first person who got me into that kirtan in Cologne. Remember, Raghu? That was in 2018.
Is that when I met you in Cologne, Germany?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Nicole was the one, she said, hey, you don't have to sit in the second row. Come in. And yeah, I just really got hooked by
Push
her.
him in the kirtan. Push him in the kirtan, right?
Yeah, so
we love you. We love you.
I'm still very, 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 very happy to be part of this community, part of the show. Thanks all of you, like Raghu, Kaustubha, Mara, Tom Essig back then. You have been a big part of the show. And yeah, happy to have you around in my life. That's very, very important again and again.
Thank you. Super cool. Thank you so much, Tina.
Thank you so much.
Her. Had a great time with her in Nepal, too. Oh, look who's up. Moxie the Mena.
Oh, is it my turn to read? This is
to read.
Yeah, I think it's my turn. This one was nice, short and to the point, but this is from Moxie, the Mena. That means she's from Maine, right? She. Moxie? I don't know. Moxie.
Is Moxie male or
Moxie writes, this January I was working 12-hour night shifts, making hundreds of COVID-19 test kits per hour.
Wow.
12-hour night shifts. My mental and physical health deteriorated. I had to leave my house behind. A dark drug experience haunted me. A romance ended. I dreamt that someone asked me, have you heard of Radha? Now, what kind of dream was that? Yeah. I hadn't. Spotify recommended Wisdom of the Sages.
What?
Yep. I binged old episodes night after night at work, even after my employer banned headphones until I caught up. Yada, yada, yada. Now I build greenhouses, sing secret mantras, and find myself filled with gratitude daily. Thanks to God's grace and all of you. Moxie Lamena.
That's a Krishna miracle, me and Justin just said. That is a Krishna miracle.
That's pretty far out. Thank you, Moxie.
Next up, we have Arumar.
Arumar the Grateful One. He's been here forever.
Thank you. First off, I know I've done it a few times, but I do want to give gratitude to you guys, Mara, Kaustubha, and Raghunath, for bringing me along this journey. The Srimad Bhagavatam literally connected with me the very first time I heard Raghunath reading it almost 2 years ago on Instagram Live.
Wow.
It was my birthday, actually, 5 a.m. I was not a morning person. It was weird. I woke up 5 a.m. I saw an alert saying, Raghunath is now live. And I hit the button and instantly the words being read by Raghunath at that moment dug in. And it literally was like someone took a key and unlocked Krishna from my heart.
Wow.
For the first 41 years of my life, I was an agnostic. I would tell people when they would invite me to their church or whatever that I believed in God, but I didn't have a religious path to follow until he gives it to me. And he did that through Raghunath, Mara, and Kaustubha. With the Srimad Bhagavatam, it inspired those daily gratitude posts. I started them December of 2019. And I took a break this past April after 76 straight weeks of posting 3 gratefuls. And I found I didn't do it for a couple months, and I found it really was missing. So I started it back up a couple weeks ago. It helped me through the pandemic. My wife has told me that I would not have kept my sanity as well if I wouldn't have started it. And whenever I'm questioning life, it just seems that whatever episode you guys crack open the book that day is the answer. It's very weird. It's like whatever you're reading that day is what questions I had. And I really appreciate you guys bringing Srimad Bhagavatam to the digital world. It's my life is did a complete 180 and going a different direction.
Beautiful.
Thank you
Aramar.
so much.
Love
Aramar.
having you around all these. I feel like I've known you. You're like my oldest friend.
It's another person always ready to serve.
Yeah, great attitude. We should do this tomorrow, Kaustubha. Let's do this tomorrow.
You would do
We're
this
gonna
every
finish
day.
all these people.
Who's next?
Swamiji is next.
Oh no, you are you read or is no you read next.
Jeffrey Ackler, Swamiji.
Oh,
I was
okay.
probably 10 or 11 years old when, sulkily walking behind my parents in Washington, D.C. on a family vacation, a man approached me. It could have been me. He asked me if I was upset and handed me a sticker that said smile with a weird black smiley face on it, surrounded by flower petals.
That was
He was not
Juggernaut.
dressed in any specific attire, and I was confused at the time. I did not feel like sulking anymore at that moment and can't even remember why I was in that mood. I felt seen. It would be a couple of years before I even realized that the sticker was anything more than a positive message, a reminder to smile and be happy.
That sticker was actually a picture of Krishna.
Picture of Krishna, but in a peculiar face, the Jagannath face.
That's right.
At 13, I found out that the singer of my band,
Of a band.
the singer of a band, my friends and I listened to, had started a new project, and they were into Hare Krishna stuff.
I wonder what band that was.
What the hell? I had been unsuccessfully attempting to understand the words in a dictionary-sized book whose name I couldn't pronounce, but it was the only book in the library I could find with pictures of Krishna, a blue-skinned god person that reminded me of the science fiction and fantasy books and movies that I was growing to love. He seemed powerful without being traditionally masculine and beautiful without being effeminate. At 21, I was completing my degree in theology and used the music and lyrics from Shelter Song, along with excerpts from the Bhagavad Gita and New Testament, to attempt to prove to a room full of Catholic university students that Krishna's teachings and the core values of the gospel of Christ were one and the same. And he puts in parentheses, I give you a new commandment, love one another, as I have loved you. So you should all love one another. John 13:34.
I would love to hear that presentation.
Yeah. I was high out of my mind. At 25, I was enrolling in outpatient rehab to treat an addiction that had overtaken my life. For the next 18 years, I would vacillate between hope and hopelessness in all of its forms, all while pursuing a career that was unfulfilling in almost every sense, but paid more money than I felt I was worth. So I transmuted that financial compensation into the defining factor of my life. I was high earning and low thinking. I was also steadily declining in my health, both mentally and physically. Frequent feelings of worthlessness and thoughts of suicide plagued a man hidden behind the decorative curtain of a seemingly perfect life. Wife, kids, home, job, etc. I'm sure you've heard stories similar to this one. However, in August last year, amid a desperate, difficult time, I reflected on something so simple as wondering what the people I looked up to as a youth would be doing. I found out that Ray Kappa was now Raghunath and that he was teaching yoga philosophy on a podcast. I started listening while I worked in my home office. While I had read the Gita several times over and had heavily thumbed and highlighted copy, I had never heard the topic presented in a way that seemed applicable. It was always lofty philosophy. There was this guy co-hosting the show with whom I identified. He was gentle but masculine, certain without braggadocio. Braggadocio. Is that how you pronounce it? Braggadocio? Braggadocio. He explained things in a clear way without excessive language or condescension, and with a passion that came across without seeming fanatical. I decided that I decided that if there was a man out there that could apply this wisdom practically and simultaneously exhibit these admirable qualities, then maybe I was missing the point. Maybe I had been looking at this the wrong way. This was not simply a philosophy. These were instructions.
That's a big realization, right?
It's a big realization. People really get into the Gita as like, now I have another take on philosophy.
Armchair philosophers.
Yeah. Now, September 2020. This is continuing on with Jeffrey Ackler. I had just turned 43, not a month earlier. I decided to stop drinking, eating meat, and I began waking up early, very early. I reread Think on These Things, the Ramayana, the Upanishads, and then the Bhagavad Gita, all in the span of a few weeks. I started posting pictures of my readings on social media, and I put everything else on the back burner. I continued to listen to this podcast each day and signed up to support it. I started calling in to a 5 a.m. Zoom call on 9/17/20. He knows the date. I'm pretty sure everyone in my sphere thought I would be in an institution soon. He's lost his material mind. It has been 203 days, just over a half a year. I still struggle with depression. I still struggle with attachment to material things. I still have doubts about my faith. I do not know, however. I do not, however, eat meat, drink, or smoke, and my body is healing nicely in obvious ways. I have a daily practice that I perform to the best of my ability each day, and sometimes that ability is not very good, but I'm trying. Above everything else, I have hope. I am crying as I write these words, and I cannot thank you enough, Kaustubha. No amount of financial support or praise would be sufficient. Your guidance and your daily affirmation that today is not the last day, but the first, enabled me to pursue my practice with perseverance. Prabhuji, you have given me a conduit to knowledge to which I desperately had needed to gain access. I cannot absorb it all at once, but I am hungry for it because it is saving my life one day at a time. I'm deeply and eternally grateful to you. In humility, your servant, Jeffrey Ackler. This sounds like he's been practicing bhakti for lifetimes, right?
Well, you know, if you get that, somehow he had that interest in what was his degree in, like theology and all that. Yeah, so it sounds like an old soul. Applying this. Thank you so much for sharing that vulnerable information and your gratitude and appreciation.
Free the Zoomers.
All right, next up we have Greg DeGasu from Atlanta.
Oh man, he's been here forever.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this community and Raghu, Kaustubha, Mara, everybody that puts this show together every morning. It's like a spiritual multivitamin for me. It's every day starts the day good, and it's been creating a better version of myself for my wife, my daughter, for me, for my community of friends. It's I have a long path of spiritualism, Buddhism, atheism, mostly the latter. So this has been a really positive change in my life. And recently I got to put the field work in, and some of you may know that I assisted my father in his death. It's actually a month ago. And I was able to be in the room with him for pretty much almost a week, day and night. And I don't think I would have been able to do this a few years ago. It would have been a very dark, nihilistic, atheistic place. Instead, I felt like I had the tools that shifted my perspective to really make that room as beautiful as could be, in the sense of my connection to my father and my allowing him to decay basically in front of my eyes, and for that to be all right. Now, granted, he was nearly 95, so I wasn't dealing with a tragic, situation of a young person or something like that. I was given that gift to be able to be comfortably in that situation. It really, though, came down to my reflecting what I'm learning every morning here with all of you, the Gita, my chanting practice. I was able to have less attachment to his dying, and I had more hope for his advancement. That's really what the bottom line was. And I was able to chant for him, played kirtan like Radha Krishna Temple, Prabhupada chanting. And my dad is from Hoboken, so lots of Frank Sinatra.
Okay.
Frank was his man.
He did it his way.
He did do it his way.
Right.
So I really appreciate this. This is I just feel like tight friends with all of you, really just through this association. Yeah. So Haribol, Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
And it takes a village to raise a soul.
Yeah. Well, Greg, as you were speaking, I was thinking of, in terms of creating a village, the announcement that we made earlier about trying to create this whole support system. I would love for a person that was in the position that you're in to be able to say to your group leader, this is what I'm going through. And they're saying, oh, let me connect you with Ganesham, or let me connect you, someone that's going to give you tools and walk you through it, give you strength, give you insight, I really look forward to being able to assist people and exactly, helping to create this system where we can all get all the kind of support that we need. Thank you.
I'm so touched today. All right, so let's read through a bunch of these emails. They're beautiful, and a lot of them are Zoomers anyway. This is Miguel Pajares. Mary, you want to read this?
Oh, sure. Backstory. 2020 was a trying year for all of us. Personally, I lost 2 family members to the pandemic and dealt with the loss of my cousin due to suicide, all within a 6-month period. While trying to remain strong, I was overwhelmed with feelings of guilt and impotent anger at myself for not being able to be the rock I needed to be for the family, especially while remaining isolated. I became severely depressed, lost purpose, resorting to drugs and alcohol to get by, which ended up hurting more than it solved. Go figure. I willingly signed up for counseling, which helped put death and loss into perspective. However, I felt empty inside, not being able to fully grieve, and continued to struggle in silence. During one of my long trail runs, I stumbled upon Raghu's chat with Rich Roll on his podcast. The message of love and compassion touched me that afternoon and filled me with hope. I fell down to my knees and, surrendering to his will, sobbed uncontrollably while praying for help. A few days later, I gave episode 377 a listen, and it changed my life. The more episodes I listened, the more I realized the happiness I was looking for. It's already inside all of us. And with a little faith, love, and the right association, things can turn around. There's no greater fix than being fixated on the Lord. How the Bhagavatam has impacted my life. Since March of this year, the Bhagavatam and your podcast has become my daily bread, my anchor, my shelter. I'm crushed by the ocean of love, compassion, and mercy Krishna has for all living beings. My life has been filled with a sense of purpose where there was none before. Dependency-free, I now embark on the journey to perform my duties as a loving husband and a servant leader for my team at work. It's certainly not easy, but with an attitude of love and service, I now try to be conscious of my actions and the impact it has on others that cross my path. Day by day, it's helping me see the beauty of God in all, and I remain amazed how its verses have something tangible I can apply to my life in a positive way. Thank you for reading. Peace and love to you all. Your humble servant, Brother Nature.
That's Brother Nature.
Oh, that's Brother Nature.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
That's Brother Nature.
Thank you, Miguel, brother.
Well, that is a beautiful story, man.
It is, and I got to hand it to you, Ruggie. Like your appearances on Joe Rogan and Rich Roll really, really touched people.
You see how
man.
you can see how it's had nothing to do with me and everything to do with Krishna just working the Krishna miracles.
Well, you're working the Krishna miracles.
I wanted to get on Rich Roll, but I didn't know Rich Roll. And then it was Kelly Skinner. It's interesting because Kelly Skinner was in Vermont, and her and Robin Shaver, a dear Zoomer, they set up this program for me in Lake Placid.
Yeah.
And she said, there's this old devotee that lives near us, and he's been like teaching us some stuff, and he's really cool. In my brain, I'm thinking some old devotee. What is, I thought maybe he was doing, not being. Sometimes you say that old devotee could mean anything. Some old guy, He says, you know, I'm into Krishna, but really
So
has some
you're-
ulterior motives. But I met this incredible guy through Kelly Skinner, who is an old devotee, and he happens to be really close to Mandala, who's publishing my book.
Mhm.
And he said, and he came to the farm, Srinivas, and he came to the farm and he said, Raghunath, have you ever thought about being on Rich Roll? I was like, yeah, it's sort of
Every
on my
day?
bucket list. And he goes, my brother manages Rich Roll, and you would be perfect. And Rich Roll saw your thing on Joe Rogan. I think he liked it and stuff like that. So Srinivas, thanks Kelly Skinner, and Srinivas arranged that whole thing for me. And it was a Krishna miracle. It's all Krishna miracles going on today. But yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, this is from Saleli G, a famous Texas Zoomer.
All right.
We say Texas Zoomer's a special one because they have to wake up super early just to get on the show.
4, yeah.
Unlike the lazy Europeans.
Okay.
Like rolling around in bed.
Stephanie writes, "Hi, Mara, Raghu, and Kaustubha Prabhus. Please accept." I met Stephanie a few weeks back. In
She's
Washington Square
cool.
Park.
She's
Yeah,
cool.
it was just brief, but I was so happy I got a chance to meet her. She writes, "Hi, Mara, Raghu, and Kaustubha Prabhus. Please accept my humble obeisances and my love note to Wisdom of the Sages. I'm more than happy to speak live if you want." I don't know if Stephanie's here right now, but in any case, let's read this. But mostly, I want you to know how grateful I am and how much Wisdom of the Sages has changed my life. I found Raghunath and Kaustubha Prabhus on Instagram Live during Super Soul Sacred Sangha days. Raghunath would pop in out of my feed, dropping bits of intriguing transcendental knowledge until I finally gave in and joined the call in September 2019. Because I remember you keep saying, what did you call it? Like the first class seats or something like that. You were like saying, people should tune into Zoom. You used to have some way of phrasing it. I forget what it was.
For front row box seats or something? I
No,
can't
but
remember.
because it was a fact that the Instagram feed was like always falling apart. It was always going off. It was the phone was getting knocked over. Different things were happening.
It was crazy back then.
So she writes, "At that time, I had become very dissatisfied with my family life and ungrateful for all that I had achieved: material success, interesting career, great husband, kids, all these things I worked for, always thinking the next thing would bring me more happiness. Of course, my family brings me great joy, but internally I felt lacking and resentful. I'd been around long enough to know that all the things, vacations, dinners, bottles of wine, weren't really satisfying me. So now what?"
Now what? That's
Now what? Right.
our famous Wisdom of the Sages phrase. Now what?
So she says, "Pretty quickly, with the daily hearing of the Bhagavatam, listening to the words of Srila Prabhupada, and your accessible explanations, and then chanting just one round a day, I started to feel the personal connection with God that I was longing for. You showed me
one round.
just one a day. You showed me that Vedic knowledge, Krishna consciousness, is for everyone. It's already there, waiting to be uncovered, regardless of who you are or where you come from. Krishna is waiting for me to turn to him with the desire to serve with love." She's right to the essence here, huh? "I'm not too old. I don't need to leave my family, run off to an ashram. She's saying I'm not too old. I don't need to leave my family and run off to an ashram and renounce the world. In
But you
fact,
can.
But you
You
can
can if you want. It's
Okay.
fun.
In fact, the teachings of the Bhagavatam saved my family because I stopped looking to them to fulfill what they can't." Very interesting, right? "On top of that, I learned that I can serve them as spirit souls, serve the Krishna inside them, using my present life responsibilities to grow my bhakti. My relationship with my husband and kids has since become more meaningful, loving, and compassionate. And while I continue to have my struggles, I am always reminded by Wisdom of the Sages to appreciate my family and cultivate humility by putting Krishna in the center. Hearing the Bhagavatam daily reminds me to pray for Krishna to please show me how to serve you and help me to remember, with all the craziness of life and 3 kids, help me to remember you and to develop a relationship with you. I can't believe it's been almost 2 years that I've been listening practically every day. Words can't express the gratitude I have for your mercy, spoon-feeding us bhakti day in and day out. I hold both of you in such high regard. with so much love, affection, and appreciation. You opened up the words of Srila Prabhupada and other great teachers in this tradition with such inclusivity and accessibility. Thank you for creating Wisdom of the Sages, a home for broken cans. Salelaji.
That is incredibly beautiful. Thank you, Saleli G.
Very
Texas
inspiring.
Zoomer.
Very
Yeah.
inspiring to me, Stephanie. Thank you so much.
Michelle Marquez.
Are we going to go
Ready?
live in between?
What's that? Is this? No,
Should we hear from a live person in between? Or Mary, you got more lined up?
I think we're out of lives.
Okay,
Unless
we're out of
Papa
lives, so
Tony
let's-
wants to share your dad. What's up with Papa Tony?
Share Papa Tony.
Why don't you write Papa Tony, see if he wants to go live, and I'll. He's very shy.
That would be
but
like an exclusive.
I'll read Michelle. I think we should get to know Papa Tony, though.
Okay.
Okay, this is Harry Bowl, Wisdom of the Sages family. This podcast has impacted my life in many ways for which I am truly non-deserving and grateful. This past year, I have dealt with an incredible amount of suffering in all aspects of my life. I lost my job. I'm going through a separation in my marriage. My sister's health deteriorated because of COVID. All of this really put me in a dark place, and I found myself operating in the mode of ignorance on a daily basis. Bhagavatam has served as such a critical instrument in my life. I now see my suffering as a blessing. Without suffering, I wouldn't learn the lessons I need to, and I wouldn't fall deeper and deeper into Krishna's arms. From Tucson, Arizona, thank you all for what you do. I hope to meet you all soon. Hare Krishna, Michelle Marquez. Very beautiful.
Wow, that was great.
All right. I don't have Papa Tony just yet, but I do have Sherry Yannick who wants to speak.
Oh, Sherry.
Oh, Sherry Yannick. Let's do it.
From Brooklyn, New York.
Okay. Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you so much, Raghunath and Kaustubha, Mira, for this. It's been a really very special, amazing thing, and it's kind of been a grounding point in my day, to the point where if I sleep in, I feel like something is definitely off. When I was pregnant, I was at the Bhakti Center like 3 or 4 times a week. I took a couple classes with Kaustubha, and I remember saying to someone that I felt like once I have my child, I would kind of get off track. And someone said to me that Srila Prabhupada said that when you're a parent, that's your spiritual practice. So I kind of held that in with me, but when I used to go to the Bhakti Center, and my daughter was in my arms, and then when she started walking, it was kind of all over. Anyone who's a parent knows, like, you cannot bring like a toddler that's running wild to like a wisdom class. And so I was feeling kind of lost and really disengaged, and Jimmy Jaya told me about a new podcast called Wisdom of the Sages with Kaustubha and with Raghunath, and I knew Kaustubha well, so I was very excited at being able to kind of engage with him more. And then I started that in February of 2020, and that was a really big grounding thing. And then in the end of March, I got COVID, and I was pretty sick in bed for like a week and a half, and I wasn't really able to do anything. And at one point I was like struggling to breathe in bed, and all I could do was I was listening to Kirtan, and I was listening to Wisdom of the Sages, because I couldn't read a book. I couldn't engage with my family. I was just really sick. And, at one point I was struggling to breathe, and I just thought, okay, if this is my time, I'm going to Krishna knows. And just kind of like that release. I don't know if it was something that came from one of the episodes, but that to me was, that's when I realized that Wisdom of the Sages was kind of getting a little bit even more deeper into me. But every day it's just been like a real grounding thing, and I take all these little nuggets out into my life, and we call my daughter Nugget, so I always feel like it's this even deeper connection to the podcast. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sherry.
Thanks, Sherry. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Love hearing this.
Yeah.
Oh, this Aliana's got one.
Yeah. Do you want me to read that? Is it my turn?
Sure.
Okay. He writes to us, please accept my humble obeisances. My life-changing experience from the Bhagavatam started to flourish during the pandemic. I was in Berlin, traveled from Australia. I was there strictly for enjoyment and to party. All of a sudden, the pandemic hit. All the things I was there to enjoy were taken away and shut down. I was
Krishna changes things up on you like that.
Surprise.
I was stuck inside and worried about back home, and things got really dark. I heard about Krishna previously in my life, but never practiced bhakti. I was looking for shelter and something to fill the so-called void. My friend Jesse Cooch told me about wisdom of the sages, and now looking back, I know for sure that just by simply listening and hearing from the Srimad Bhagavatam on the show changed my life. I went from a toxic lifestyle of delusion to living and serving and chanting rounds at the Simhachalam, did I say it right? Simhachalam ashram in Bavaria, just within a few months. I remember one morning eating prasadam in the garden and crying because I'd never experienced such happiness and peace in my life. I feel like my day will never be as great without it, and to hear it so beautifully narrated on the show gives me an even deeper understanding and appreciation. I am forever grateful for this consciousness and to be in your presence on the daily. Thank you, Krishna, and thank you, Wisdom of the Sages, and thank you, Bhagavatam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
I love hearing these backstories because I see these people. I feel like Aliana, I see her all the time. I feel like I know her, but I don't really know her. Thank you for sharing that, Aliana.
And now you know her more.
Now we know her. Linda wants to go live.
All right.
That was good.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. Well, first of all, congratulations to Raghu and Kaustubha and Mara. I mean, this is an amazing community of people. It's filled me so much over the last several months that I've been joining Zoom and listening as another as well. I found this through the Ritual podcast also, and I had only been listening to Ritual for a few months. And when I heard Raghu speak, it's the first time I thought, I believe everything he is saying. And it was a real awakening for me because I had always felt very drawn to spiritual things. Grown up a Christian, but just didn't believe in a vengeful God and thought, I'll just take the learnings from all of the traditions, find the commonalities, and try to figure my way forward. And what these daily teachings have given me is really an understanding that my life is my spiritual practice and it's not separated. And, and that I just feel like it's changed me so much in just a few short months, because now every day I think about coming from a place of love and from service and with service to everyone, whether that's people I work with or my family or my friends, or even just feeling the love of the people here on Zoom. It's really amazing. When I first started joining, I thought, I'm not sure I fit, but I'm just so drawn to being here every day. I'm in Seattle for work right now, and I'm like, I can't wait to join at 2 a.m.
Oh my God, incredible.
To just be part of this amazing celebration. So, and I really knew I got it when a couple of months ago, I live in Florida, and before hurricane season, I had a big oak tree in my front yard that I was told several years ago I had to have taken out. And the day that the tree people came to take it out, I went out and I gave it a big hug and I thanked it for its amazing shade that it had given me over the last several years. And I thought, I think I'm really getting this thing about just spirit and life and love. So thank you so much for everything you've done for me. And thank you to this amazing community, and congrats. And here's to another 500.
Haribo.
Wow.
That was beautiful, Linda. Thank you for sharing that, you tree hugger. You little
so
tree
much.
hugger.
She's seeing the soul
Proud
in
to
every
be.
living being. Yeah. That's great.
Wow.
Thank you so much. All right. Do you know who's next? Here is Ramit.
Ramit. We love Ramit from Jaya Yoga School in Brooklyn.
Yeah. She writes, Dear Prabhus, Kaustubha, Mera, and Raghunath, I can't even begin to articulate what the gift of your daily offering has meant to me during this pandemic and in my life. Your voices and the subject matter have been the lute of Krishna in my AirPod. I think she meant flute, not the lute.
The lute. The lute makes sense too.
Yeah, it could have been a lute. I'm sure he plays a great lute, but he's more known for the flute. So your voices and the subject matter have been the flute of Krishna in my AirPods, on my walks with the dog, on long treks into Prospect Park, on days when no one was out, when everything felt so bleak. I remember those days, right? And on walks at Brighton Beach and during the lockdowns at home. To know that you all would be there has given my life a new anchor, new passion, and I find myself saying the names of Rupa Goswami and saying again and again, Srimad Bhagavatam, and wanting more and more of that nectar, that sweetness, and starting to learn verses in Bhagavad Gita.
Wow.
And spending more and more of the day intoxicated with sweetness on my lips, mantra and more, she's really feeling it, you know?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. The realness of tuning in every day to your changing moods and to your consistent presence amid the shifting tides and so much unknown this year has catapulted my life in the best of ways. The uplift and the upgrade and the sharing of vulnerabilities. What can I say beyond I laugh, I cry, I nod in agreement, I shake my head. I bless all of you in my heart daily, and I thank you ever so much for what I believe to be the greatest thing to have come out of the pandemic for me personally.
She's so poetic, huh?
She's really good. She's such a sweetheart, you know?
Yeah. Love her.
I know I am not alone in telling you all. You have moved hearts, touched hearts, and saved lives. Endless and eternal thank yous for lifetimes, for the grace and beauty and authentic wisdom of the sages you're providing and delivering. I could go on, but with this, I send you hugs and love. Pam Ho, meaning please accept my humble obeisances. And what was the other one, the longer one?
Agabst.
Agabst. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Ramit.
Great.
What a wonderful heart, expression of your heart. Thank you so much. And, when I hear you saying that, when I hear you saying, that, Rupa Goswami, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and feeling the sweetness of all that, you're really understanding where all this leads and experiencing it. That's just super great.
It's incredible. Thank you.
Next up, we have one of our Zoomers, Chaitanya Sansini.
Chaitanya.
Chaitanya.
Hello.
What's her story? Who is she?
So I'm honored to be here, and thank you for letting me share. Last summer, 2020, my very good friend Monica brought me to an outdoor retreat in Lumberton at a horse farm.
Monica.
Yeah, Monica Walsh.
Monica Moore.
Monica Walsh. Love her.
Monica Walsh.
Yes.
Which one? Which Monica?
Monica Walsh.
Monica Walsh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So she brought me to this yoga retreat. I hadn't really done yoga for 20 years. So I put myself in the back row, not to embarrass myself too much with all the yoga teachers around me. Was feeling a little overwhelmed, but very excited about the opportunity. Loved it. Felt, Raghunath, I met you that day. I felt that you were very attainable. You were very approachable. I'm a year younger than you, and I got every single one of your references and laughed at all the stories that you were telling during Q&A time. And it was interesting. During Q&A, there was a lot of young parents talking about, their struggles with their raising their children and everything. And I was really touched because I was, about 10 years ago, I had a very, very nasty divorce. I had converted to Roman Catholicism to marry this man. And we were talking, I shared that I was having trouble with my, the way my adult children were dealing still with the divorce over 10 years ago. And I shared my pain during that session. And Raghunath, you looked in my eyes and you told me something that I really needed to hear, which was that, although I brought their bodies into this world, I'm not responsible for their behavior. And, they're truly not mine. So that detachment was something that I really needed to hear. And it was really a beautiful message. And I felt very connected to you and to the others and the whole community. I remember walking back to the car saying to Monica, like that, I feel like I found my people. Like all these years, I feel like, I've been looking for people and I found that community.
Wow.
So during that sharing session, you mentioned Wisdom of the Sages. I didn't know anything about it. I bought the Bhagavad Gita. I read that. I started listening to Wisdom of the Sages. I was overwhelmed, to be honest, about trying to catch up. So I just listened to questions and answers and special guest days for a while and was really intrigued. I was trying to figure out how to have my corporate career. I'm in cybersecurity in an executive position and trying to figure out how to manage, this new enlightenment that I was feeling and work that I was doing. I spoke to my therapist about the 6 pillars, and it was very interesting because she said to me, and I needed to hear this too, she said to me, now read each of those and put the word yourself at the end. So I will be tolerant of myself. I will not criticize myself, and so on. That was extremely powerful and meaningful. And ever since then, I've been devouring everything I can read. I've been listening. I started as another, but now I listen live every day. And I'm just so honored and so blessed to have you as part of my life. Thank you so much. I love you all.
Oh, wow. I'm so happy she shared. I forgot that whole thing. That was at Bob Healy's parents' farm.
That's
I did an all-day thing with all the Palo Santo crew.
Just a few months ago.
No. It was like last summer.
No. Was it last summer or was it just in March or something?
Last summer. It was last
Okay.
summer. Yeah.
Okay, good.
It was like when the pandemic was sort of like you can come out, but we couldn't do classes. So I was just doing 6-hour classes. Yeah, that was a great day, Tanya. Thank you for sharing that. I'm so glad.
And great to
Congrats
meet
on
you.
500, guys.
Oh, hey, thank you.
It's the Catholic guy.
No. That is Frank Sonsini, my husband. I'm remarried. And
Oh,
he
you're
sits next to me. He sits next to me during
the Catholic guy's back.
No.
Not that we have anything against Catholic guys. We love
No,
Catholic
I'm a
guys.
Catholic guy. I'm a Catholic guy. I still go to Catholic church with my mom sometimes. Okay, let's read from Kathy Haggerty. I want to read this one.
Oh, Kathy's.
We love Kathy Haggerty. I know this is too long for Friday, but I wanted to just share it all with you on this auspicious occasion. Pam Ho, Raghuji, Kaustubhaji, and Maraji. My life began in 2018 when I came onto the Bhakti path. My teacher, Stephen Traiolo, who took
He's great.
Who took YTT, yoga teacher training with Raghu, and was tagged by Krishna to bring me home. That's a beautiful way to put it. Tagged by Krishna to bring me home. Tired of having my
He's
heart.
like a transcendental mailman, that guy, right?
Stephen Traiolo, he
Delivers
is.
them.
He's actually a
He's
mailman.
like a philosopher.
But he's
a
also
philosopher
the
mailman.
spiritual mailman. He's delivering the
sage.
letters of good hope and faith. Tired of having my heart broken, exhausted by my bad choices, addictions, bad habits, and from denting my can further, I finally succumbed to Stephen's free Gita Sangha after asana class. That same year, I did my first flight school in Kirtan with Raghu and became joyful hearing Bunki Bihari Kirtans. Still doing Bunki Bihari Kirtans.
She just goes right to the essence here.
What is this sound so deeply affecting my heart, washing me with joy? These words in the Gita that were written in the beginning that I've never read before, yet have always known in my heart. I watched my life transform. Old destructive desires vanished effortlessly, replaced with new spiritual desires, and my ability to go vegetarian and vegan also was effortless. Fast forward, Stephen needed to take a break after a couple of years, and I so missed our studies. Then he told me the podcast had started and to contact Mara to join. But 5 a.m.? Ugh. So I became a dedicated other. Wisdom of the Sages became my life raft during the pandemic. My life's work has been about service to children and families, and I give my work my all. In late 2020, I was depleted, and tensions boiled between me and my supervisor. My sadhana had fallen off, and it showed in my emotional and mental health. Japa was inconsistent as I was listening to the shows. Here I was back dealing with my dents, my dentedness.
Mm-hmm.
Then, in my Instagram feed, Raghu is going to Nepal, a country I wanted to go for 30 years, and I knew this was finally the exact time, the exact person, and the reason to go on my first pilgrimage. With full faith in Krishna, I went to pilgrimage, and my soul experienced what it longed for so long. I went with two primary intentions: develop a solid morning practice of japa and reading, and two, to really look at my job, what was happening there, the pain I was experiencing, my desire to leave a service I felt called to. And by leaving, am I running from Dharma or my service, from karmic lessons? I asked Raghu, our final night in Kathmandu, for a Vedic astrologer, and told him my questions about work. He gave me Drew Lawrence's name and then put his arm around me and said, "You've done what you needed to do there. For the next time for a new chapter, or time for your next chapter, Kathy." This was confirmed by the data in my chart. I got back from Nepal, continued my morning japa, Wisdom of the Sages, daily reading, waking at 5 a.m., no longer a chore, again, effortless. I look forward to it all. I'm solid now. Parade down Fifth Avenue in a New York City Harinam, no problem. But I hung on at work after Nepal out of duty, the projects, loyalty to people, get through the next thing, and being responsible. That's in quotes. Waiting to get another job before leaving this one. My morning sadhana going strong. I would hear exactly what I needed to hear, just when I needed to hear it in the Bhagavatam. I leaned on Krishna more. Keep me close, Krishna. Help me stay focused on you. Show me the way. Keep me strong. If this is my ego, help me transcend to serve you. Kathy's incredible, isn't she?
She is.
Last week, I completed 2 major projects, cause for a big celebration, and for the umpteenth time, I logged into work and had, quote, not so nice emails in my inbox from my boss, leaving me crying, anxious, confused, and diminished. It was then peace washed over me. It's time. I wrote my resignation letter, talked to my devotee friend Pat, we love Pat,
Pat's
on
cool.
Friday night, and in the clarity of her presence, I realized this is surrender, full faith in Krishna. I'm in your hands, Krishna. I'm turning my life over to you, Krishna. I've made this kind of bold move twice before in my life with a strong belief in God, but never a personal relationship with Krishna. And amazing things have happened. I have 100% faith something amazing is coming into my life, as I have so much to give. I turned in my resignation on Monday. We'll finish at the end of August. Then, wherever I'm needed, I will be delivered. My worth is my birth. It took me more than 50 years, this lifetime, to learn this, but I learned it. I prayed to meet like-minded souls. I have that through wisdom of the sages and Bhakti community. My life is a Krishna miracle. My life is a Krishna miracle. Thank you all, to the teachers, the chain of people who led to tagging all of you. You have saved me, and my life is transformed. Much love to all of you, Wisdom of the Sages family. Eternally grateful. How beautiful that is, from Kathy
Boom.
Haggerty.
Thank you
She
so
is
much,
so
Kathy.
wonderful. She is great soul. So happy for that transformation.
All right. Next up, we have Nityananda Chandra.
Papa Tony?
Nityananda
No,
Chandra.
Papa Tony?
Nityananda Chandra.
Keep working that guy. We're going to get him. Nityananda Chandra, Hare Krishna.
Hare
The
Krishna.
Texas posse.
Just one right today.
Okay.
So I just want to share how this is. I'm just amazed how we have we say the Nam, Dam, Bhagavatam, Deity, and Devotee. So these are like the 5 most potent things. And you guys are giving the Nam, you're giving the Bhagavatam, but you're also giving the Dham. You're giving like a digital Dham, like a holy place that everyone can come and tap into and experience. We hear the numbers. We've got 6,000 people listening daily. And if you take half the globe, if you don't include India, where else? If you take the entire half of the globe outside, other than India, you're not going to have 6,000 dedicated Bhagavatam listeners. You guys are basically the largest temple or digital dham in the world. So it's very amazing. And during the pandemic, like many people, a lot of us have been thrown in a lot of turmoil, many different situations that came up, not just the pandemic, but just seems like there was like a tsunami of karmas that were coming at people and causing all kinds of suffering. So it was always nice to tap into something that is so bringing so much hope to this world. I struggled also because I was serving at doing spiritual service for about 15 years, and then the opportunities, everything shut down. And last year, June, our opportunity was closed off. And so I was like, oh, I just need to find something meaningful. So it was nice to be a part of this whole powerful and meaningful community. Thank you very much.
Nityananda Chandra, he runs our Shloka study group, and he's a great soul, and we love having you here. And when we did me about to Justin and the kids did a road trip, we stayed with his beautiful family. Thanks so being so sincere, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, and for doing those shloka chanting groups is awesome. And hey, Nityananda Chandra, you're the kind of guy I'd like to reach out to, maybe being a group leader, as we were discussing earlier. You know, for I think it'd be ideal for that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Prabhu. Love this guy.
Am I next? Is Mara next?
Oh, Alice. Alice's turn.
Alice
from Bologna.
From Bologna.
You would never know this, but Alice from Bologna is hardcore.
Oh yeah, Alice she's totally cool. And you know what? She is taking my wife and I on a little excursion to Assisi after
after the Wisdom of the Sages retreat.
After the Wisdom of the Sages retreat, so we're really looking forward to that. She writes, "Dear Raghu, Mara, and Kaustubha G's, thank you so much for being here and now, and for this wonderful service. Reading Srimad Bhagavatam together with you is the most enduring and profound experience of the association with devotees that I've ever had that doesn't make me feel a strange freak. Listening to the lectures has made this existence so much less chaotic, sad, and pointless. Wisdom of the Sages is by far the most transformative yoga I have ever experienced, and despite the distance, schedules, and sometimes the language, I'm connected to you in a profound way, and I will be eternally grateful for these teachings, for the irony, for the love, for the right answer at the right time, and for the devotion to Lord Krishna. I believe anciently our souls have promised each other to meet us again and to go through this merry-go-round another time. I hope with all my heart that this will be the last round, and we could all find ourselves eternally in the brilliance of Vaikuntha. Happy 500. Love, at your service, Alice."
Right, Alice.
Thank you, Alice.
So sweet. Next, we have Letty Nelson wanted to share.
Letty's from Long Island, I think.
No, I'm from New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay, Letty.
Well, first of all, please accept my humble obeisances, Kaustubha, Raghunath, and Mara. I appreciate everything you guys do. I was actually introduced to Bhakti through my best friend from high school, Laura Rubino, who's been to many of your trainings. She got me to come to some weekend Bhakti retreats with you guys, and I was actually at the farm during the Sacred Sangha, and I got up at 5 a.m. and was live for the first time there. But I've always been a late riser, and always 5 a.m. can't do it. And then she told me about when you guys were going to Wisdom of the Sages and going to be on YouTube and podcasts. I think, oh yeah, that's something I'll be able to do. I could get up later and listen later in the day. So I started with the first episode. Within a week, I was emailing to get the Zoom codes, and I've been 5 a.m. ever since. It's really completely changed my life, changed the whole dynamic of my day. I've never been getting up early in the morning, and now I can't wait. I want to go to bed early at night so I can get up in the morning and listen to you guys. And it's just changed every aspect of my life. It's a whole different dynamic, and I just can't say how much I appreciate everything you guys have done. So thank you so much, and I can't wait for the next 500.
Wow, Letty, thank you so much.
I
feel great meeting people like this.
Who was her friend?
Lori.
Laura Rubino.
Oh.
Yeah, we went to high school together.
That's unbelievable. Oh, here's a great one. Isabel
Thank you.
Bilodeau.
Isabel Bilodeau.
I always want to know about Isabel Bilodeau.
I love it.
Is that you, Mara? You going to read this one?
Yeah, sure. Please accept my humble obeisances and eternal gratitude for having introduced me to Bhakti Yoga. Since the appearance of the Srimad Bhagavatam and Prabhupada's books in my life, it has constantly brought me back to my first guru, my father. You see, my parents were divorced when I was 6, and I ended up staying with my dad full-time in the country while my mom moved to town. I was always very close to my father. He was my everything. What stays with me the most now is the daily walks that we took together, holding hands, and him teaching me everything from the little things like names of trees, plants, and animals, to the bigger things like love, respect, and the meaning of life. I loved listening to him. He was kind of a sage artist of sorts.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. On each of those walks, he would pick up small white pebbles, put them in his pocket, and later, at the end of our walk, he would drop them on the dirt laneway leading up to the house. Over the course of those walks, over the course of those years, a few pebbles of wisdom at a time, a path appeared, a path leading us home. I now feel that through hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada has now taken my hand, our hands, and we are walking together, listening attentively with bated breath and eager to learn the essence of everything. We are now picking up precious stones and gems of wisdom that we repose on the path leading us to our true home. Jai Shri Krishna. Although I had a glimpse of this path in a dream once and feel most unworthy of this immense blessing, I believe I am now walking with all of you, because of you, on a higher path that brightens and shimmers with every step. I owe an immense debt of gratitude to all of you, the devotees, those that came before me. I hold you all in my heart and am humbly beginning to understand the foremost importance of service. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, wisdom of the sages ki jai. With all my love, His will.
Incredible.
She's like a pure devotee, and
She's like a pure devotee sitting up
but
there.
she's never met them except once now, but through the internet. It's incredible.
Hey, I want to drag Bhakti Justin here because he wants to share about his Bhagavatam changing his life, and I'm going to just drag him in front of my microphone. Welcome, Bhakti Justin.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about yoga teacher training, and well, it has to do with so yeah, my life was like crazy chaos, and I was living a super materialistic, selfish, wild life. And then the pandemic hit and like everything stopped. And I just went inward and I kind of delved into all of the meditation practices that I knew. And then I found Raghunath, and I found Wisdom of the Sages through Joe Rogan, and reconnected with him because I had met up with him a long time ago, briefly. And I was put into this really silent, beautiful place where I could be the celibate monk that I had always kind of wanted to be, but life was always just getting in the way. And so it got deeper and deeper. And then when I took the yoga teacher training, the first weekend, Kaustubha does this breakdown paths of yoga, and it was very, very sober, so lucid, and it was the first time I felt like somebody had like given religion to me in a way that I could understand it, you know, because I was raised Catholic, but I'd never felt welcome, you know. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get emotional. So like I'm gay, right? And I never had a problem with me being gay, but everybody else had a problem with me being gay, right? And I never felt invited when I went to church, you know. So, but like I always had this really strong connection to God, and I would pray, and I would like have all these like fantasies about like going to heaven, but then like being sent to hell, and then like defeating Satan, so I would go to heaven, or being like becoming a saint or something weird like that. I was like, I had to like come up with these fantasies to like justify being worthy of God. I went on this crazy spiritual journey, and it took me all my life to get to this point where like Kaustubha was like, oh no, here you go. And at the end of that first weekend, we did like a circle up, and I'm just like bawling, and I know I'm like losing my mind bawling, and I look like a psycho, but like I felt like it was the first time somebody said, yeah, it's okay, you can have a connection to God, it's right here. Yeah, I don't know. That's it. I love you too. Simple.
Thank you so
And,
much.
You know, then he contacted me.
Yeah.
And he contacted me, said he's been listening to Wisdom of Sages, and he came into my life. He's as my assistant, but you know, it's really a blessing for me when I'm going through my stuff that he's he's here and he's assisting me where I need help, and he's living like a monk right now. And love having you on board. And
Thank you
listening
so
to the
much,
Bhagavatam
Justin.
and Wisdom of the Sages since that teacher training.
Wow.
There we go.
Did we read one more?
Aaron Ereskin.
Mm-hmm.
My mates.
I think it's you, Ro. Yeah.
My mates. So that means he's somewhere, not here. We call us mates.
What do you
Congratulations on episode 500 and thank you for daily service. My mom is a British Christian. My dad is a Turkish Muslim. My in-laws are Punjabi. And my wife, who was also born in Britain, is a Sikh. So
Sounds like a Bob Dylan song or something like that, you know?
Mom was a British, dad is a Turkish Muslim, in-laws Punjabi peasant. Yeah. So it totally stands to reason that I would become attracted to bhakti through wisdom of the sages. 1 minute, I'm full of stress and despair. The next minute, I'm canceling my season tickets to the Spurs and chanting japa each day. Oh, wow. From a personal level, Kaustubha and Raghunath, whether it is breaking down sacred scriptures and practices or light pop culture references with humor, I have nothing but love and fondness for you. You have offered invaluable guidance that has helped me grow as a person. Nugs such as mind your own business, don't be easily offended, be responsible for your dharma, simple yet powerful. From a spiritual level, I have always believed in God, but hearing daily readings from the Bhagavatam has given me clarity about how I can have a relationship with God and service that is required from me. With gratitude, Aaron Eriskin, London, UK. P.S. I came to Wisdom of the Sages in a brilliant way. I had just finished reading the Bhagavad Gita for the first time. I had listened to a podcast with one of my favorite musicians, Walter Streifels, who used to be in Youth Today.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking with great respect about his time in Youth Today and how Raghunath had become immersed in Krishna consciousness in the 80s. So I looked up Raghu and found Wisdom of the Sages, and I've not looked back. I grew up about 7 miles from the Bhakti-Vedanta Manor. So that is the big temple that was donated, a big, beautiful Tudor mansion that was donated to the devotees by George Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
So he lives near there. I see the devotees regularly on Oxford Street. Huge George Harrison fan. Some of my family are Hindu, but Wisdom of the Sages has been the method for bringing all those ingredients together.
For the recipe.
Beautiful.
Wow. Thank you so much, mate. Appreciate that. And, you know, we've been going over 2 hours, but do we have time for one more Lady Di?
Yes. Let's get Lady Di.
Lady Di.
Lady, I don't know if you know her this or not, but she's slightly lost her material mind. Lady Di.
I've noticed.
She went to Greece.
Yes.
She's coming to Mexico. She's coming to Italy. She's headed for India, I think. She's yeah. Hi, Lady Di. Good to see you.
I'm very, very happy to be here. Thank you very much. Congratulations to the Wisdom of the Sages community, Raghu, Maraji, Kaustubhaji. I'm so happy to be here. I don't know where to start. I could say so many things, but I'll do my best to keep it concise. I first heard about Raghu from Pradeep.
From Probos. Yeah, Pradeep.
Yeah, Pradeep, October 2018. And I was scheduled to go to the Ahimsa Music and Yoga Festival in Hunter Mountain, November 2018. So Pro is just saying, you know, Raghu, he's great. You know, you got to find out more about him. And I was talking about Sadhguru, and he's like, no, not Sadhguru, Raghu. So I was like, okay. So going through the Ahimsa schedule, they had so many things. And fortunately, Raghu was there, and he had a workshop, 6 Pillars of Bhakti, and 6 Pillars of Bhakti Yoga. And I was like, yes. So that was my last workshop. I sat down, and he had a group of beautiful people, vibrant and energetic, there with him. And I could relate. I could have related, to everything that he was saying. It was so user friendly and easily digestible. I was taking so many notes, and that was November 2018. So then life took me on a journey, busy, working, and materially things looked good on the external, but on the internal, there was a hole in my heart. And life changed last year, June 2020. We had a tragic loss in our family. Somebody who was close to us, he died of an overdose, and he was only 25. And so I have two boys. My husband has two boys from a previous relationship, and that was their half brother that passed. And life was changing, and I was like, you know what, I need to be a better person. How can I be better? And I got this email, one more spot left for this yoga teacher training. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And then so happened, I didn't have my job anymore. And I was like, yes. I said yes. And I did the yoga teacher training last year in July. And I had the pleasure of being there with Bhakti Justin, who's very connected to my heart. I love you. And I'm so happy to see that you're there with wonderful Raghu. Krishna, works in mysterious ways. So being there at Super Soul Farm, being there the first time, meeting Bobby Marchand, she was the one that gave me the tour. And I was like, wow, such beautiful energy. And the farm itself was just very peaceful and very comforting. Met Raghu and was like, wow, it was very surreal. I came there the second week, and Raghu was there in the driveway with Bob Healy, with the bearded Bhakta, doing something. And Raghu walks up to me as I pull up in my Prius, come out of the car, and he looks at me, like, not just look at me, but like look into my eyes, into my soul. And he says, welcome home. And I really felt that in my heart, and being connected, listening to Kaustubha and his classes, singing kirtan with Raghu, and eating Mara's prasadam, it was like, woo, I want to live like this forever, and a DTG was telling me about wisdom of the sages, and I was like, I have no idea what that is, and she was telling me, and I was like, okay. So when the teacher training ended, one of the things too, when we were practicing, when I was studying, when we were doing our asana, Bhakti Justin was right across from me, as we were practicing. And when we're singing, I could feel like his voice was just pulling my heart to a higher level. My heart was connecting with his voice.
He's a great singer.
And yes. And
dancer.
And dancer. So, like living life and being in the material world and feeling like, okay, this is good. I have some money in my bank. I have a car that's reliable. I have a house, I have a family, but there is this hole that's here, that's waiting to be filled. And to be honest, I can say that I'm the happiest now because of Super Soul Farm, because of Wisdom of the Sages, because of all of you. And I haven't been listening every day. I used to be a Zoomer. I fell off the wagon. But I went to Crete and connected with some beautiful, beautiful people through the Wisdom of the Sages. I met Vivi G and Nicole, and it's like family. And I'm headed to Mexico, and then I'm going to Tuscany, and I haven't traveled, since I was 18 on my own. So this is pretty awesome, and I really feel like layers that have been caked on in my heart being like slowly stripped away. And literally feeling lighter. And I'm super, super grateful. And I always keep the nectar nuggets close to heart, minding my own business, keeping the main thing, being humbled by nature. I have a little vegetable garden, and all the insects, that come, and all, it's just the colors and the fruits, the vegetables, the flowers. It's just very humbling. And one of the other things too, there was a nectar nugget that said, expect disappointment, remain even-minded. And I find myself often being disappointed with life, like expectations of people, but it helps me just to stay focused on my path and be positive, be grateful, be humble, be tolerant, be compassionate, and be loving. And I'm so, so grateful. And I'm the happiest that I've ever been. And thank you so much. My heart is full.
It's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Lady Di.
Lady Di, everyone. Thank you.
And Lady Di will be joining us live in Mexico next week.
Yay.
Kaustubha's traveling Monday, and I'm traveling Monday to Mexico. So we have no show on Monday. But then we're going to do live every day at 5 a.m. in Mexico, which is going to be 6 a.m. for Mexican time. But we're happy to have you, and welcome home. Welcome home.
Thank you.
And
Thank
now
you so much, Lady
Lady
Di.
Di is welcoming people home herself, because this is our home.
Terrible.
Our
Yes.
home is where our soul resonates. So when we treat each other like spirit souls and not like bodies that I can consume other bodies and take from them, it's actually seeing people with this real appropriate set of lenses. Everybody's actually sacred, and our culture made us forget that, and it's a crime. And so we're trying to decriminalize ourselves. Thank you, guys. Thank you. What I'm really touched by everybody sharing.
I am as well. You know, many more people wrote in. We couldn't read them all. They were all wonderful. If you wrote in to us this past week or so, we thank you. We wish we could have read them all. We've gone well over 2 hours now, so we got to stop at some point. But thank you so much for everyone that wrote in, for everyone that spoke today. It means so much to us to have you all here every day, the Zoomers as well as the others. It keeps us going. So thank you. It's not only our accomplishment of 500, but it's all of us together. So thank you all so much.
Yeah. This is a great time to mention that we're a community-supported podcast. Just give from your heart. Did you just shake your head at me, Mara? I caught her going, oh, Raghu. Thanks, everybody. Is our music going? I can't hear.
Yeah, it's going.
Thanks. Let's have a little dance party here. Thanks, everyone. It is a community-supported podcast. Go to patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages. That's how you support us. And I'm so happy we did 500 episodes. I want to keep this going until I'm on my deathbed giving Wisdom of the Sages. Narayanam Namaskritya. Imagine I'm dying. And hold the microphone back to Justin close to his mouth. Put the Tulsi leaf in his mouth. He's about to leave. I want to be with all of you on my deathbed at Govardhan Hill.